Have you ever heard of a massive, ancient city in the heart of North America that rivaled London and Paris in its day? A sprawling metropolis with a population of up to 20,000 people. Complete with enormous earthen pyramids, a sophisticated social structure, and a mysterious, sudden end. No! I'm not talking about a lost city from a fantasy novel. I'm talking about Cahokia, America's forgotten first city. Located just across the Mississippi River from modern-day St. Louis for centuries, its story was buried literally beneath the earth. Today, we're going to unearth the shocking truth about this incredible civilization. Why did it rise so spectacularly? What was life really like for the people who built these monumental structures with their bare hands? And most importantly, why did they all just vanish? Stick around, because the story of Cahokia is one of the most fascinating and baffling chapters in human history. And it will change the way you think about ancient America forever. Transition to shots of archaeological digs, artifacts, and maps showing Cahokia's location. Let's travel back in time to around 1050 AD while Vikings were exploring the North Atlantic and the Tower of London was just beginning construction. Something incredible was happening in the American Midwest. A cultural Big Bang took place. Seemingly out of nowhere, the city of Cahokia exploded into existence. Within a generation, what was once a collection of small villages transformed into a regional powerhouse? The largest and most influential settlement of the Mississippian culture. The city covered nearly 6 square miles and was a masterclass in urban planning. At its center stood the magnificent Monk's Mound. This isn't just a hill. It's a man-made structure, larger at its base than the Great Pyramid of Giza. Imagine the scene. Millions of baskets of earth, moved by hand, one by one, to create this 100-foot-high monument. On its summit, the paramount chief would have lived in a massive building, perhaps 5,000 square feet, looking out over his entire domain. From there, he could see the Grand Plaza below, a 46-acre space, meticulously leveled, that served as the city's social, political, and religious heart. It hosted massive public ceremonies, markets, and the intense, high-stakes ball game known as Chunky. Show animations of the game, Chunky and the bustling Grand Plaza. Chunky wasn't just a sport, it was a reflection of Cahokian life. A player would roll a smooth, disc-shaped stone across the plaza, and others would throw spears to where they predicted it would stop. It was a game of immense skill, but it was also used to settle disputes, transfer property, and was central to their social fabric. The city was a melting pot, drawing people from all over the region, each bringing their own skills, beliefs, and traditions. You'd have farmers from the surrounding fertile floodplains, artisans creating intricate pottery and shell jewelry, astronomers tracking the stars, and priests conducting complex rituals. To understand their cosmos, the Cahokians built incredible structures called wood. These were large circles of evenly spaced wooden posts that acted as a solar calendar. By observing how the sun aligned with the posts during different times of the year, they could mark the solstices and equinoxes, crucial for their agricultural cycles and religious festivals. This wasn't primitive guesswork. It was precise, scientific observation that governed their daily lives. Transition to more mysterious and dramatic visuals, like artistic renderings of fortifications and evidence of conflict. But life in Cahokia wasn't all grand ceremonies and scientific marvels. As the city grew, so did its problems. Around the year 1175, things started to change. Archaeologists have found evidence of a massive defensive wall, a tomb-long palisade with guard towers that was built and rebuilt 4 times around the city's central precinct. Why would a city at the peak of its power suddenly need such heavy fortifications? This suggests a period of intense social stress, perhaps from internal strife, external threats, or both. Evidence found in burial mounds points to a highly stratified society with a clear elite and a laboring class. Some burials are incredibly lavish, with individuals laid to rest on a blanket of over 20,000 shell beads, surrounded by hundreds of pristine arrowheads and other valuable goods. Nearby, however, Other graves tell a much darker story. Mass burials containing the remains of individuals who appear to have been human sacrifices, possibly executed to accompany a chief into the afterlife. This stark contrast between the haves and the have-nots may have brewed resentment and instability within the city walls. Shift to visuals depicting environmental changes. Drought, floods, deforestation. And then there was the environment. Supporting 20,000 people with the technology of the time put an immense strain on local resources. The forests 4 miles around were cleared for construction, fuel, and agriculture. This widespread deforestation would have led to increased erosion and localized flooding, making farming less reliable. Some climate data suggest the region also experienced a significant shift in weather patterns around this time, including major droughts. Imagine a society dependent on corn, facing crop failures year after year. The social and political pressure would have been immense. So what caused the final collapse? The truth is, there was likely no single cause, but a perfect storm of factors. A combination of social inequality, political instability, warfare, resource depletion, and climate change all converged on this once great city. It wasn't a sudden apocalypse. People began to leave. Slowly at first, then in greater numbers. By 1350, just 300 years after its explosive birth, Cahokia was effectively abandoned, left to be reclaimed by the tall prairie grasses. Its people dispersed, their descendants becoming the Native American tribes that European settlers would later encounter, like the Osage, Ponca, and Omaha. The memory of their grand metropolis faded into legend. Return to present-day shots of the Cahokia site, with visitors walking the grounds. When the first European explorers and American settlers saw these massive mounds, they couldn't believe that Native Americans had built them. They invented elaborate, false theories, attributing them to lost tribes of Israel, Vikings, or a mythical race of mound builders. It was a convenient fiction that denied the incredible achievements of the continent's indigenous people. It took decades of painstaking archaeology to prove the truth that Cahokia was a 100% homegrown American marvel. Today, Cahokia Mounds is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognized as a place of outstanding universal value, but is still largely unknown to the general public. It's a silent testament to a complex society that rose, thrived, and fell long before Columbus set sail. It reminds us that history is not always written in stone, but sometimes it's written in earth. It challenges our perceptions of what civilization is and forces us to acknowledge the deep, rich history of the land beneath our feet. The story of Cahokia is a cautionary tale, echoing through the centuries. It shows how even the most powerful societies can be vulnerable to social division and environmental change. It's a mystery that we're still piecing together, one artifact at a time. So next time you think of ancient wonders, don't just look to Egypt or Rome. Look to the American heartland, and remember the forgotten city of Cahokia. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the hidden corners of history. Let me know in the comments what you think happened to the people of Cahokia. See you next time!